Election reaction 2024. Don't call it a comeback. Trump is back in office. So, what's your initial reaction to this?
Actually, talking to some people that I work with, everybody kind of had the same thought in their head that it wasn't jumping up and down, jubilee, screaming into the air, pumping fists. It felt like a weight had been lifted off of shoulders. That we have gone through 4 years of some of the shittiest politics I've ever seen in my life. The most disastrous decisions. You understand the phrase, more than one way to skin a cat, right? There's more than one way to run an economy. There's more than one way to pass bills and legislation. There's more than one way to attack immigration law. But for some reason, with the Biden and Harris administration, it felt like every decision they made was intentionally harmful to the people in this country. Utter ridiculousness. And so once Trump was called for the election at 2 a.m. is when I saw it, I just felt an honest sigh of relief. This is how much it has affected just regular, everyday working Americans. To me, anyone that I talk to in this area just feels a sense of relief.
There's a lot of nervous energy because of what happened 4 years ago.
Yes.
It feels very stolen, right? I mean, that's what a lot of people think. The election was stolen.
I still feel like 2020 was completely stolen. Because you cannot convince me any way, shape, form, no how, no way that Joe Biden, who hung out in his basement for several months, got 81 million votes, more votes than Barack Obama. No way. You cannot convince me of that. I fully believe that they injected a whole bunch of mail-in ballots that were completely fraudulent in many swing states. Bottom line.
Last night, I will say I was a little bit nervous because of, 4 years ago. You just never know. You're just that nervous fucking energy.
Right.
I will state an analogy from last night. Let's say you back, like sports. You back your favorite sports team or your favorite fighter, and you just desperately don't want them to lose to a rival. That's the same energy I felt last night. Kamala is just so disgusting and vile and just not fit to run. It's one thing if Trump loses, but loses to someone worthy. She was not worthy. So it's so much more nervous energy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, are they going to steal it? That's how I was feeling. I was in knots last night. It's like, is this going to happen? Because you just get like the most scumbag candidate. And like I told you, it's like when you look at Obama, Hillary, Biden, Harris, that is a murderer's row of trash.
Right. Well, also political heavyweights. Kamala is probably the only odd man out that didn't have a whole lot of accomplishments. She's the only presidential nominee to never get a vote from anyone in the Democrat Party.
It's just so wild that you take someone that couldn't even be at Biden's speeches because she was so hated. Her approval rating was so bad she couldn't even be there.
Right. She had the lowest approval rating of any vice president of all time.
And then all of a sudden, thrust her into the spotlight, and the media monster just goes to work. All these celebrities, you know what I mean? They're just going to work. And they had to work overtime for this lady.
And then you notice, once again, look how quickly all that moved Do you realize she raised $1 billion in 3 months?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, so
That's-
disgusting.
That's interesting. That's very interesting how that works, right? So she wasn't invited to Biden events because she was so hated,
Yeah.
and then Biden makes his garbage comments, and he gets disinvited from participating in any Kamala events.
Yeah.
After that, weird how that works.
Same page.
Yeah. I honestly believe there is no love lost between Democrats. I think they all hate each other, but they work with each other to achieve goals.
Well, so did anything surprise you about this election?
There's actually a few things that jump right out at me. Number one, we go back to some of the stuff that happened in 2020, where you had several states that just decided to stop counting, right? And they held the election up for less than a week, if I remember correctly. But the race was called fairly quickly. It was 2 a.m. whenever I found out. I just randomly woke up off the couch and seen that Trump was announced the winner. So I thought that was a pretty resounding defeat of Harris.
A lot of betting sites immediately, like very early, and betting sites aren't going to want to lose money.
Right.
Lose like 85%. And then like a lot of media for Democrats were already kind of walking back, statements. They were very much kind of accepting defeat very early in the night. So it's like, I don't know if it's insider information or what, but this was a little more cut and dry than 4 years ago.
Exactly. That was surprising to me. I figured this would be heavily contested. I figured there would be some shenanigans somewhere that needed to be
absolutely
attacked and quashed.
And that's why I
immediately.
was so just nervous. And it's just like, that's like I said, like my analogy of watching, you don't want to lose to your biggest rival, but you don't want to lose to someone that's just so unworthy of this position.
Right. So some of the thoughts behind what would go on after the election, there was a lot of people that were saying, another analogy, whenever Golden State wins the NBA title, what happens?
Yeah.
Like, people from San Francisco will go out and just start lighting cars on fire.
Yeah, right.
The team that wins, they go out and start destroying property, right? So there was the thought that even if Kamala won, that people were going to start destroying, right, in very probably liberal urban areas.
Yeah.
Then you have, well, what if Trump wins? It's probably going to be the same people that go out and destroy. Conservatives aren't really built that way. We don't like to destroy we don't like to shit where we eat, right? So to speak. We don't want to destroy the town that we have to live in because we're going to have to turn around and just rebuild it. Yeah, it's just stupid. So there was that concern that you would have some political violence, some destruction of property.
So let's go back to what surprised you the most from last night.
What surprised me the most was, so we had conversations about Virginia. Dude, this state was in play for so long. And I think Trump only lost it. I have the website pulled up right now, but I think he only lost by 200,000 votes. Yeah, Harris, 2,227,000 to Trump's 2,003,000. So that's a difference of what, 224,000 final tallies? That's insane. That's insane. So Virginia, you have Loudoun County, which is heavily Democrat. I forget the county that's... Oh, Fairfax County. So Fairfax is like super. That's the county that's right next to Washington D.C. Trump pulled 31.29% of the vote in Fairfax County. That's wild. That's some crazy in place schemes there. So in totality, with Virginia, Trump pulled 46.61% of the vote in uber blue liberal Virginia. That was the biggest surprise of the night for me.
Okay. Yeah, Virginia. Also, a lot of Latino and black voters, Democrats were very down on because they lost them.
My understanding with like just black men, I think Trump pulled 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
I don't have an exact percentage because I've heard two different versions, but it's somewhere in that realm, which is actually big. Typically, Republicans don't pull but single digits.
Well, they were very much trying to flip the Latin community, and it didn't go quite as they expected.
Not at all. Even whenever you say Latin, obviously we're talking about Central and South American.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of legal immigrants that come here from these countries. And legal immigrants do not like illegal immigration. They hate it, right? These are people that we're talking about. It took them 10 years to get into this country.
Absolutely. They go through all the steps.
Right. And so whenever they see like 10 to 15 to 20 million people just being allowed into the interior of the country because they claim asylum, like they know that these people are gaming the system. They know that the federal government is allowing these people to game the system. So they're slightly resentful. And there are massive amounts of Central and South American people in our country that are here legally that either have gained citizenship or have a right to vote in certain areas. They don't like what they're seeing. They absolutely hate it. They cannot stand it. It seems like a form of cheating. So they voiced their opinion at the ballot box last night.
Well, so I guess, to finish on this, how do you see this going? We've seen it before. I don't think the game plan is going to be a whole lot different.
Oh, you're talking about the second Trump presidency? Yeah. Okay, so there's already been talk on this. Obviously, Trump being just a regular businessman that comes into the office, not a politician who knows who he needs to know. He had a lot of not great people in key positions.
And he knew that, though.
He
kind of spoke on, some people that, he got suggested on that ended up not being,
yes.
great.
Now that's not the case.
Okay.
There's going to be very, very loyal and very, very heavily.
Can I cut in real quick?
Yeah.
The guy that I am most, excited for, honestly, J.D. Vance, man. That guy he's awesome.
Isn't he sharp?
He's awesome to listen to. That's who I am most excited for. He's going to get to run. And he's great, dude. He's going to probably eviscerate whoever they got coming up.
Well, okay, so funny story about that.
And he is actually an everyday. At least he comes off as an everyday guy. You know what I mean? Like this is definitely a candidate Republicans can get behind. You know what I mean? Not a billionaire celebrity type or whatever, but this dude's great. That's who I'm most excited for.
So Trump told kind of a funny story whenever he was doing his speech last night. So he would call people up and say, "Hey, I need you to go into enemy territory," which usually means I need you to go on CNN or MSNBC or something like that. But anytime he calls JD Vance and says, "Hey, I need you to do something a little bit hairy for me. I need you to go into enemy territory," and he's like, "Okay, where do you want me to go? Which one?" And Trump said, every time he goes on there, he completely obliterates everybody. Looking back at the vice presidential debate, you can tell that JD Vance, once you get a game plan together on how you want to attack that debate, this was a masterclass on debating, right? He was super nice to Walz. Walz isn't quite on his level when it comes to debating. I don't think Walz is somebody who's ready for the national stage, right? He's probably okay at a governorship. I mean, I'm not going to toot his horn or anything with Minneapolis, but I definitely, watching that debate, he definitely is not ready for the national stage.
He kind of came off as a little bit goofy to me, but
Right. Well, Vance ate him up in a lot of different spots. And, he would turn to him and be like, "Oh, listen, Tim, great guy, love you, but, you're just wrong on this," right? And Walz is standing over there, not just nodding his head incessantly because he loves his gyrations, that's the strange thing about him. But he loves his gyrations, and he's just like, "Yes, boss. Yes, boss. You're right. You're right." Very, very interesting. But yeah, Vance put on a masterclass in debating, and then he goes on these shows on MSNBC, and he just dismantles every single one of these so-called journalists. Explains things in ways that regular people can understand them. Knows where people come from. He is somebody who grew up in a house that had addiction, a single mom, no money, went to the military, got the GI Bill, went on, graduated from Yale. He's done great things in life. He is the success story. And it's awesome.
I think her slip up with the military, statement she had, and then Biden saying garbage. It was just, it stacked up. I don't know if that meant anything, but that's bad publicity.
Garbage was a big deal. There was a time whenever she went on The View and they threw the softball of all softball questions. Let's say it's you in the Oval Office. What would you do different?
About the same.
I wouldn't do anything different.
About the same as Joe Biden.
Right. That grabbed a hold of a lot of people and said, "Hey, hold on. Look at all these problems that we're experiencing. There has to be something different. You got to do something different." And you had a lot of Democrats that swapped to Republican based off of simple things like the biggest issues in America is the economy. That's always front and foremost. This year, number 2 was immigration. And number 3, I think, was
abortion rights. Yeah, it was. That's still.
That's an interesting
Which is
dynamic.
so crazy because it's state to state, and they try to pawn that off on. There's a great grand redeemer but whatever.
Right.
Whatever. So let's end this.
Okay.
Do you have a message to any liberals and Democrats here in 2024?
Yes, I do.
Do okay.
Very distinctly. Listen, you guys that are liberals and Democrats, I know there's going to be a ton of narrative that's thrown at you, right? You listen to the women of the View, and they're like, we're already losing our rights as women. We're already losing our rights as minorities. Trump's going to put his political opponents in prison and all that. Listen, it's not going to be the case. right? We will have a peaceful transfer of power. Trump he doesn't think the same way that you do, but he still wants to do things for you. There are certain legislative agendas that we are going to try to pass that benefit all people, not conservatives, not Nazis. We want to stop with the name calling. We want to get rid of all that shit. We live next to you. We work with you. We do things with you all the time, liberals. We are part of your communities just like you're part of ours. Let's everybody calm down and let's stop acting like there is a 180-degree separation between your life and my life, because it's simply not true. You still have kids that go to the same schools that your neighbors' kids go to. You still go to the same restaurants and the same bars and shop at the same grocery stores that your political opponents go to. Let's all just calm down and take it down a notch and understand that we do not have to be mortal enemies. We may have political differences, but let's sit down and just talk them out like rational human beings. No name calling, no narratives, no ad hominems, no logical fallacies. Let's just open up and get things out in the air. Be kind to one another. Love your neighbor. If people need help, help them. Right? I'm not telling you to give up your life savings. I'm not telling you to put your life in danger. I'm just simply saying, hey, you know what? If you're a liberal and your conservative neighbor asks for a little bit of sugar, what's the harm in helping them out with that? They're going to return the favor at some point. But let's all just try to live together and stop with the crazy politics. We don't need it.